Okay, so welcome back, guys. I thought of making a different kind of video since I love storytelling and most people like stories, so I thought, why not? I'm gonna read from a book called Fright Time. It has 3 short stories. We're gonna start with the first one, Madman on Main Street by Elaine A. Kuhl. Let's begin. Chapter 1. I, Michael Dane, age 12, am not the world's best student. I'm not even Centerville Junior High's best student. Far from it. Okay, I don't try all that hard. What I have, according to my teachers, is potential. But if I hear, "You don't make the slightest effort to reach your maximum potential," once more, I'm going to scream. Which is what my parents did when they saw my last report card. You're probably thinking, I should just do the work so everyone will quit nagging me. But here's the way I see it. Books will always be around. So will math, science, and history. On the other hand, playing JV basketball or watching a really great game on TV, well, this stuff won't keep. Last Friday, though, Coach Nelson said that my grades have to improve or I'll get thrown off the team. And I wouldn't be surprised if my folks made me give up TV for the next 30 years. One thing I'll never give up is my paper route. It's my only source of income. Dad's always saying, "There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. You want something, you have to earn it." Well, make that need. Baseball cards, a small amount of junk food, my mother won't buy it, and other essentials too numerous to mention. So, I'm up before dawn every day, making sure the good citizens of Centerville, those on my route, that is, have the news to digest with their breakfasts. Yesterday morning, I noticed another customer on my distribution list, Abner Hilks. I had never heard that name before, but the address, 200 Main Street, sounded familiar. Could it be the spooky old place that's been deserted ever since I can remember? Nah, who'd want to live there? I hopped on my bike and began my rounds. But as I neared the last stop, my heart sank a bit. There it was. The old sorry-looking house. Whatever paint there was had chipped and faded. The front yard had weeds a foot high. This place, sitting at the end of Main Street, was the one kids used to think was haunted, me included. It got so bad that Billy Smith's father once took a bunch of us inside to explore the place, just to prove we were wrong. Nothing happened, but even so, I walked home unconvinced. I mean, no ghost or goblin would pull a stunt in broad daylight, not with Mr. Smith around. The man is almost 7 feet tall. He's a great guy and everything, but you don't want to mess with Billy's dad, even if you're an evil spirit. I'm not saying I believe in haunted houses. Still, as I got to 200 Main, I had a rolled newspaper in my hand, ready to throw on the rickety front porch. But I stopped mid-toss. Sitting in a weather-beaten rocking chair was a gray-haired man with a longish beard. No introductions were necessary. This had to be Abner Hilks. "Good morning, Michael," he said. I froze. It wasn't so much that he knew my name. The newspaper's subscription department could have told him. What got me was his voice. It was the creepiest thing I've ever heard. So scary, it gave me chills. Trust me, I've seen tons of horror movies, but just the sound of this guy beat them all. Besides, seeing a movie is one thing, being so close to the real thing is another. I decided that I'd better shove off, but Abner's next comment had me glued to the spot. "Having trouble in school, eh? Shame. Knowledge is power. Don't you forget it." I was too stunned to talk. How could he possibly know about my low grades? Just when I calmed down enough to ask him, Abner got up from the chair, opened the front door, and went inside. He was holding a rolled newspaper. I suddenly realized that I'd never given him one. I pedaled to school as fast as I could. For the first time in a long time, I was actually glad to get there. But the rest of the day just grew even stranger. For starters, math was a disaster. Miss Reynolds made a sarcastic comment after I told her that I'd forgotten my homework again. Some of the kids laughed. I really hate that. First of all, I don't think teachers should embarrass a kid in front of everyone, and if that sort of thing does happen, I think the class should stick together. In other words, don't make the kid feel worse. To tell you the truth, I've never laughed when, say, Coach Nelson yells at someone for missing a clear shot during practice. No less than in history, Mr. Benson gave a pop quiz. It was on the chapter he asked us to read last night. Trouble is, I'd left the textbook in my locker. I guess I didn't feel like lugging the thing home just to read a few pages. I also figured I should wait until I was more in the mood. Obviously, I thought wrong. And wouldn't you know, the quiz was the essay type. No assist with some lucky multiple choice guesswork. I really sweated the first question. It's hard to pretend you know stuff when you really don't. And besides, trying to fool Mr. Benson is ridiculous. When it comes to history, the man is a walking encyclopedia. The second question was really tough. While imagining how I could try to sound halfway intelligent, my eyes wandered toward the hallway. I saw a shadowy figure lurking in a dark corner. I felt my heart sink when I realized it was Abner Hilks. He just stood there, staring at me with a weird grin. What was he doing here? I shuddered. The guy gave me creeps, that's for sure. Maybe it was all that stress in one day, but I actually thought the classroom walls were closing in on me. I had to leave, to breathe fresh air. But Abner was out there. He was... Who was he waiting for? I'll be honest, I was more afraid of him than some old test score. Since I couldn't think anymore. Anyway, I handed in an almost blank paper. I walked back to my desk, folded my arms, and rested my aching head on them. Minutes later, I thought I was hearing things when Mr. Benson praised me for a perfect grade. I was so flabbergasted, I nearly fell off my chair. Then, for some reason, I glanced at the corridor again. It was deserted. I felt relieved until I heard the echo of a weird chuckle. Abner, no doubt. I couldn't help thinking that he had something to do with changing the exam I gave my teacher, but how and why? Fortunately, the bell rang, and my thoughts were interrupted by versions of, "Good going, Michael." I also got a few nods and smiles from kids who never looked at me before, namely Tracy Scott, the most popular girl in our grade. I have to admit, it all felt pretty good. Better than being laughed at anyway. At least I managed to get my mind off Abner Hilks. But not for long.